They constrained him, verse 29, to abide with them, for it is toward evening, and the day is far spent, and he went in and tarried with them. And it came to pass as he, this is speaking about Jesus, he sat at meat with them. He took bread, and he blessed it, and he broke it, and he gave it to them. He took a bread from that table that night, a bread that probably looks much like what we have tonight, the woven challah. And the disciples still didn't know who he was. He took bread from that table, and this is what he said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechamim haaretz. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. Something dramatic happened. Read the next verse. When he broke bread, it says, and their eyes were opened, and they knew him. They koinonia'd with him. They had that intimacy with him, and he vanished out of their sight. They said one to another, did not our heart burn within us while he talked to us by the way, and while he opened to us the scriptures? Let me tell you what, if you will learn what this koinonia, this intimacy is, that when you break bread, that there's something that happened. There's an opening into the presence of God. You see Jesus as you've never seen Jesus before because you're willing to have that relationship. It was the bread. The bread was the key to greater revelation of who Jesus was. We're suffering from a lack of knowledge because we haven't understood that God has a pattern to enter his presence with. Koinonia, that love-making with Jesus. The veil is still over our eyes and over our face because we haven't understood what truly the bread of presence means. And it's the reason that the Lord is not in many churches today, I believe, because the bread of presence is missing. Amos said there would in the last days happen a famine, not a famine of the food that you feed your physical body with, but of a lack of knowledge of the Word of God. Go read it, Amos chapter 8, verse 11. There will be a famine of the Word of God in the land. I'm telling you this tonight. There is a famine of the reality of the Word of the living God today in America, and judgment is coming to America. And I'm telling you, we better begin to understand what koinonia is, that judgment not befalls our own household. For judgment shall come to the household of God first. Those who were unlearned in the Scriptures have made the table of the Lord a fearful experience. They said, stay away from it. Doesn't Paul say that we better examine ourselves? Well, let's go back and look at what Paul says to the church at Corinth and see what he was really talking about and why he was saying it. 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Paul says he'd found out there were divisions among that early church at Corinth. And there was a perversion going on because it really was concerning the Lord's table. We find that in verse 21, for in eating everyone taketh before another his own supper. They were taking the Lord's table and making it a dinner for their physical being, instead of understanding that it was bringing koinonia. And they were getting drunk on the communion wine. Strong Welch's, wasn't it? Now after the same manner, note verse 24, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and said, take, eat, this is my body which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me. Now, Paul goes on down here after he gives the revelation that Jesus had given to him about what the Lord's table was all about. Verse 27, Paul warns warns the church at Corinth. He says, wherefore whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and the blood of the Lord. That word unworthily is the Greek word anioxis, which means irreverently. It has nothing to do with sin in your life. Remember the song we sang tonight? Take me in to your holy of holies. Take me in by the Blood of the Lamb, take me into your holy of holies. Cleanse my lips. Cleanse. You see, there's a cleansing that goes on in communion that lets you into the presence of God. I don't care what dispensation you're in, there's no way in the world to enter the presence of God unclean. You will not penetrate that holy of holies. Oh, the veil has been rent. Really? Yes, it happened, but I'm going to tell you there's another veil that was put in its place. Oh, we forget that.